history of Hungary. So over 1,000 years worth of history, I'm now going to sum up for you in about 5 to 8 minutes. So tough job, but here it goes. Our ancestors, they came from over the Ural Mountains, so from Asia. They arrived here and settled down in the Carpathian Basin in 896 and were a pagan nation at the time. The pagan leaders, when they settled down, they made a blood pact. They cut their wrists, they took the blood into a cup, and each took a sip. Disgusting, I know, but this was how to get unified in a pagan way. Then came our first king, Saint Stephen, in the year 1000. He is actually the reason our nation is alive today, as it was Saint Stephen who decided that converting the nation to Christianity was the only way forward in a fast-converting Europe. This is why we call him our state founder. So Saint Stephen, very important name in Hungarian history. Right, since then, Hungary seems to have become such an interesting country that any visitor we had throughout our history always stayed longer than they were welcome for. Guys, I do not mean you tourists. Hungarians love tourists, but our invaders, the Mongols, the Turks, Habsburgs, Germans and the Russians who invaded us practically all the way through our history. In fact, Hungarian history is full of fights of independence. However, it is these oppressions that make Budapest such an interesting city today, with each culture adding something extra to our city. For example, from the Turks, we have the bath culture, which I will tell you about later, and paprika, the famous Hungarian spice. From the Habsburgs, we have many beautiful buildings, as it was under the dual monarchy, the Austro-Hungarian dual monarchy, that our country was the wealthiest. So these beautiful buildings you see in the inner city have been built then. From the Germans, we have many loan words making our language richer, and from the Russians, we have beautiful literature. Guys, this was a positive look on things. Now, looking at it the negative way, the Mongols, they massacred over 100,000 people in Buda and Pest alone when they swept across the country. The Turks, they forcefully tried to stop the spread of Christianity and turned many of our churches into mosques. The Habsburgs, it was because of the dual monarchy with the Habsburgs that we fought on the German side in World War I, losing the war, and 70% of our land. That was when historic Hungary became the size that it is today. The Germans, they promised us this lost land back, so we fought on their side again. Too much of a trusting nation Hungarians were, but instead we lost the war, and on retreating they bombed many of our buildings, destroying the city and practically all of our bridges, creating great destruction. And the Russians, they incorporated us into the communist bloc, causing fear and destruction as well, and they introduced a bureaucratic system which exists to the very day, and the state today is trying to fight it down. The taller one, with the lady figure at the top, is the Gellert Hill. It was named after the Italian bishop, Saint Gellert, who helped our first king, Saint Stephen, convert the nation to Christianity. This hill is named after him because he died a tragic death off this hill by becoming the victim of a pagan uprising. He was placed in a barrel and rolled down off that hill into the river below. It's a tragic story. Guys, the woman figure at the top, she is Our Lady of Liberty. She was erected by the Russians who came to liberate us after the Second World War. She today is a post-communist statue, as after the communists were ousted, she was covered for 4 days to be cleaned of her communist past. So now we say she is a semi-communist monument. Okay guys, Citadel, the fortress behind the statue, was erected by the Habsburgs, who also were our former oppressors, and they erected this fortress to keep watch over the rebellious citizens of Buda and Pest. On the hill is the Castle Hill. That's actually the hill where we finished our tour. Green cupola building at the top is the Royal Palace. Guys, do not have high expectations of the Royal Palace, okay? As it has been destroyed so many times throughout our history that nothing much to see inside. The walls are practically whitewashed. There are 2 exhibitions inside. If you're interested in exhibitions, the Hungarian Gallery is inside the Royal Palace, sorry. But otherwise, the original atmosphere is definitely not conveyed, okay? The sculptor did not have a female model, so had to use a little boy, his son, explaining the asexual look of this little princess, okay? She is actually one of the first statues to be placed out around the city after the communist army was ousted from the city. Queen Elizabeth actually took such a liking to her that she had an exact copy made for Buckingham Palace. Guys, knees are shiny. Why is this?
Touch it. People touch it.
Yeah? Yeah, people have touched the knees for good luck.
Alright, awesome.
We have water under the ground. Any water from these fountains are drinkable. So if you have empty water bottles and you see a fountain anywhere during our tour, you can fill your water bottles. Guys, that way is Derg Square, the only place, I'll stand here so I can see everyone, the only place in the city where the 3 metro lines intersect each other, so cross each other. This here is Elizabeth Square, the diplomatic district of the city. This square, this park is also the social centre, as after work you get people drinking wine, having picnics, sunbathing here in nice weather. But technically speaking, it is illegal to consume alcohol in public areas such as this. The Hungarian people, they don't care and do it anyway. A tribute of a post-communist society. Yeah, example behind you. Underneath this artificial pond is the Club Gudo, or ditch in English. It was named so after being located underground, and the reason it is located underground is because this hole was dug to be the base of the new National Theatre. But halfway through its construction, a new party was elected who decided to place the new National Theatre elsewhere. We don't know why this happened, but they left a huge gaping hole in the middle of the park. This was then converted into the club, which is really good for folklore and live music events, so we are happy. For you guys also, free, clean, nice toilets, okay? You don't have to go into McDonald's buying hamburgers to go to the toilet, okay? Right, quick introduction of the neighbourhood. Behind you in that direction is the Andrássy Avenue. Remember the Champs-Élysées of Budapest with the Opera House and the House of Terror. This yellow building behind me is the gate to the Jewish district, the pleasant, compact little neighbourhood with the Ruin pubs. Those Ruin pubs, they are pubs and clubs made in abandoned apartment houses, quite legally of course, with interesting decoration such as antique furniture, old car tyres, old bathtubs, so giving it this very interesting ruined look. Guys, have at least one drink in ruin pubs, very typical Hungarian Budapest local way of starting your night out. It's a good way to meet localers and to do your very own pub crawl, as this neighbourhood is full of them. As well to take some pictures of you. Once we're finished with the pictures, we carry on along this pedestrian street.
Do you recommend going inside?
It's nice, yeah. You have goulash. It's actually goulash, sorry to disappoint you, is actually one of the very commercial foods of Hungary. You can buy goulash in Prague, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to have something very Hungarian, try what we call langos. It's a huge savoury dough, deep fried in oil, topped with garlic, grated cheese and sour cream, okay? Around 2,000 calories per portion. It's the average for a Hungarian meal. For dessert, have what we call turorudi. This is basically explained as cottage cheese bar covered in chocolate. Guys, I know it sounds disgusting, but it's very Hungarian. You can buy it in every single shop you go into around the city. Definitely try these too. During communism, a red star was placed on top of the parliament to symbolise the power of state over religion. That was taken off after the communist army was ousted, and today no building is allowed to be taller than 96 meters, so we don't spoil this beautiful cityscape. Richer people who live on this side of the city in big houses with big gardens. Guys, under the Buddha Hill, we have two things. We have water and we have caves. Okay, water, thermal water, tons and tons of liters. 8 million liters come to the surface every day to feed the farm. Into this water that have the caves, which are underneath. If you want to go caving, you can go inside the labyrinth system. Very interesting. Why no people, no cars, are allowed on this side of the castle district, as we don't want vehicles disappearing into the caves. Top here. What is this? Any ideas? Turban. Wow, yeah, it's a turban. No one guesses. People always say onion. Yes, it is a turban of a Turkish pasha. Why? That has nothing to do with the unification of the city. And cardboard, the Duraplast material. Guys, not very safe when driving at high speeds. But not a problem for this little car, as the maximum speed it can do is 80 kilometers per hour downhill when packed with people. So very slow with the wind behind it. Yes, thank you. The engine is crazy. 2 cylinders, so a 2-stroke engine. The oil and petrol have been mixed together before being poured straight into the engine. And the best part, it has no gasometer. So you have to check the amount of gas by a dipstick. But a dipstick, you go, oh, that's how much gas I have. Brilliant. Guys, this car, when it was manufactured, it was so popular you had to be put on a waiting list to get the car. And the waiting lists were very long, so it quickly became the custom to put newborn babies onto the waiting list, so they got a car by the time they were 18 and got their driving licenses. Very crazy. Guys, now you tell me, how do you double the value of a Trabant? Any ideas?
Used car? As a used car?
It's a used car, no. Yeah, as a used car, that's true. I will tell you why. But by filling the tank with petrol. Yeah. Guys, huge shiny balls. Why are they shiny? What have you liked from the tour so far? Yes, people touch them. Like every silly habit, this one was also started by students. They used to climb up here to get good results in their exam. Today, however, new rule, if you climb up, you touch the balls, you get extra skills in bed. So guys, who volunteers to climb? No one? Balaj will show you how it's done. It's simple.
So, I think like here.
And you catch with right hand. Yeah, right hand and only once, because you don't want to get overdosed into the paramour, okay?
So now we're gonna go take a nice, hopefully, pool bath.
In the last hour or so that we're here, that's pretty good.
That's right here.
I don't know how many across the street.
Oh, let's go. Let's walk. So that's the bathhouse right back there. We were swimming and getting
Take it still.
wet and stuff, so obviously I couldn't bring the camera in there, but there was just like a bunch of different types of like hot tubs and like cold ones and I don't know, like saunas and steam baths and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty awesome, so definitely go back there if you get back. Hungarian bath, yeah. Turkish Hungarian bath.
Come on inside. Check out our crib. You're dirty, almost dry.
Where are we going now? Leaving the Budapest train station.
It's really hot. Again, leaving Budapest and on our way to Bucharest. Bye, Budapest!
Hello, Bucharest!
Actually, we're not there yet. You don't get